Hey everybody, it's Diana Zenny here with Think Crunchy. I'm so excited. Today we have my dear friend Kasey Tench with us. And Kasey is our amazing Green Compass advocate. I personally adore her because I feel like she comes at it a little differently. She's got a teacher's background, and I know her heart is really for education and content and making sure people understand the product and why it works and all of that good stuff. So I'm thrilled to have you here. I know people are all buzzing about CBD. And I want to learn more about it and what makes it special and how it works and all of the good things. So before we jump into all of that, I'm just going to kick it right over to Kasey to tell us a little bit about herself.
Oh, thank you. What an intro. I appreciate that. Um, like Diana mentioned, I do have a teacher's heart. So I'm Kasey. I taught public education for 10 years, 10 years with high schoolers. And some days I do miss it and I have to like snap out of it. Um, but 10 years in the classroom teaching an array of life skills courses, counseling and mental health, early childhood education, and then a parenting and child course. So my heart has always been for children, family atmospheres, and also life skills and mental health. I really do feel like they're all connected. But after COVID school and a 7 year journey through autoimmunity while
Mhm.
teaching, it got to the point where I knew I needed a big shift for me personally, and that was shifting outside of the classroom so I could heal my body further and then step out and just share gifts in an alternative way. I still feel like I get to serve the community, but just not within the confines of a school building. So, um, that autoimmunity journey, however, is what landed me here with Green Compass. So I left the classroom in June of 2022, opened up a coaching business on Instagram. Everybody was like, "What do you mean you're going to start coaching on Instagram?" And I was just packing up my classroom, like, "Nope, I'm out of here. See y'all later." Um, but with this autoimmunity component and me working to get each of the diagnoses I had received into remission, CBD was a big piece of that. It was a big piece of the puzzle for me. I got my first diagnosis in 2016, started taking CBD 2018, 2019, and by 2020 was off of all medications, which was a big, huge deal for me because that was the intention is come off of everything.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I really began as the consumer, um, and realized that I could find a lucrative avenue with sharing about CBD with the platform I had created with the online coaching space. So that is just a very like brief and vague beginning point of how the heck I got here.
It's beautiful. And it's like, it's so relevant to our community because it's this, so many people who follow us or are involved with our community are people who have found themselves unwell and really had to kind of be their own advocate and do the research and find the pieces and get it all together. Some people have stories where, acupuncture changed their life or chiropractic changed their life. And so it's always fascinating because their bodies are all a little different.
Yeah.
But a lot of the same tools really work on a lot of people. And so whenever I hear somebody who's had major success, and I've heard a lot of people have a lot of success with CBD, my ears kind of perk up a little and I want to hear, well, how did you use it? What did you do? How is it helping? Why is it helping? All of these great things. So I'm super excited to learn from you today. So thank you
Yay.
for all of that.
Yay. Thank you.
Yay. Well, as a starting off point, would you be able to explain to us a little bit? Because I know some people are a little bit apprehensive with CBD. They still have this stigma where they think like, oh my gosh, is it marijuana, or is it illegal? Like, will I fail my drug test and all of that kind of stuff? So can you explain some of that to us?
Absolutely. And for anybody who does feel weary or apprehensive of trying CBD, you are smart. You are absolutely smart to be apprehensive in that way because the market is completely unregulated. And anybody can sell you anything. We'll get into that, but let's talk about the differences between CBD and marijuana. Going back to when I first got started, I had a girlfriend reach out to me. This was in 2018. She knew that I was suffering in my health. And she asked me if I had considered trying CBD. And I said, girl, I don't need that legal weed. That was my first response. Like the first interaction I ever had with somebody about CBD, I said, I don't need that because I thought, what's it going to do? How's it going to help?
Mhm.
Legal weed. And this woman so graciously took the time to educate me because she knew that my response was that because I was uneducated. And so she shared with me what is the difference between CBD and marijuana. What's the difference between a CBD gummy and a weed gummy? And so the big difference is that they're two separate plants, which a lot of people don't even know. They're sister plants. Well, I mean, if we want to get into the science, they're technically cousins, but for the analogy, I like sister. Um, but so they both come from the cannabis species. And so if you want to consider cannabis as the parent species, and then it breaks down into the marijuana and the hemp plant. These are two separate plants. Now, marijuana has CBD in it, but it has high amounts of THC and low amounts of CBD. And so the THC component, that's the psychoactive component. We can call this the party sister because this is for recreational use, right? And then we have the hemp plant over here. The hemp plant has high amounts of CBD and low amounts of THC, 0.3% specifically. That is what is naturally derived in the hemp plant. And so if you have a sister, consider how are you alike and how are you different? I have two sisters, and not one of us are the same. And one I can take with me wherever I go. I can take that sister with me, and it is totally fine. She is great with friends, she's great with family, and she's likely to not say anything too wild. Now, my other sister, I'm not taking her everywhere with me because who knows what's going to come out of her mouth. And she knows this about herself. And so I view marijuana and hemp in the same way. One, you're not taken everywhere. That's the party sister. One is totally safe, totally safe. And this is the wellness. This is the wellness sister. And so when people ask, what is the big difference? One is for partying and one is for feeling better, period. And I know a ton of people, we have two groups of people, right? We have the people who love marijuana and use it often, and then we have the people who fear it. And they both have different stigmas about CBD. The people who love marijuana most typically are going to think that CBD is just a fake knockoff version and it's not going to do
Mhm.
anything. And they are wrong because I also know a lot of smokers, they lean on marijuana for anxiousness, for overwhelm, for pain, for sleep. And what they're doing is they're getting the psychoactive effects, which they like, and that's okay, to each is their own. But they're getting those components that they like, but it's not touching their anxiousness and it's not touching their overwhelm. It's just taking them to another level in their minds, that psychoactive effect, which is helping them shut off and shut down from the
Mhm.
concern, right? And so
Yeah.
then we have people who fear marijuana, so they don't want to touch anything. And to them, I explain how the two plants are different. But what makes them different is that those levels of CBD and THC. Because marijuana is low in CBD, it is not going to fulfill our endocannabinoid receptors in the same way the hemp plant will. And so this dives a little bit into the science. Are you ready for me to go total nerd mode?
Let's go.
Okay.
Got my notebook. I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. She's taking notes. Okay.
Okay.
So we have this system in our bodies called the endocannabinoid system. And this very recently began being studied in medical schools across the country. And when I say very recently, I mean within the past 7 years. And so before that, no one was talking about it. I mean, probably some people were, but widely studied, it was not. And so this endocannabinoid system, we all have it, and it's a foundational system. So when you think foundational system, I'm going to quiz you real quick. Are you okay with that? Okay.
Quiz me.
When you think foundational system, what is the first thing that just like comes to mind? Like that helps support everything.
Well, like your endocrine system,
Okay.
your, I mean, well, all of yours. I mean, I don't know. The body's amazing. I think I know like enough to be dangerous here, right? Like you've got your endocrine system, you've got your endocannabinoid system, obviously very important. You've got your musculature system, you've got your gut and your brain, and you've got that gut-brain connection, which is super important.
Uh-huh.
Um, a foundational piece. I can only pick one of these. This is my challenge.
What do you think about the nervous system?
The nervous system. Yes.
Right? Because
Yeah,
when our nervous system is out of whack, everything else is, right?
definitely.
And so, speaking on that gut brain axis and our digestive system, most commonly, when those systems are out of whack, when we have some type of hormonal balance, when anything is not functioning well, there's typically going to be a root cause. I mean, hello, we're in the crunchy holistic space. Everybody knows
Yeah.
the root cause, pathway. And so, a part of finding root cause is usually looking at the nervous system and
Mm.
what has caused the nervous system to not be at that homeostasis place of rest and digest. Why is your body in chronic fight or flight? Why is there chronic inflammation? How can we bring safety into your body? And so I bring that up because we typically go down to the nervous system because that's typically a foundational point. But the endocannabinoid system is even deeper than that. It's even further below that. And so when our endocannabinoid system is in a depleted state, then our nervous system is going to suffer. And if our nervous system is suffering, then our digestive system is suffering, then our reproductive, and then our lymphatic, and then everything that you listed is suffering.
Mhm.
So, what is this ECS? You can hear in the name endocannabinoid system that our body makes and receives cannabinoids naturally. And so, if there is a cannabis species, if there is a plant that is creating phytocannabinoids, it is almost as if our bodies were designed to consume and work with this plant, right?
Yeah.
It's wild. And I mean, I love this part. So, this endocannabinoid system, I mentioned the depletion. Things that may deplete your system, it's going to be trauma, stress, childbirth, even breastfeeding can deplete your system because a mother passes cannabinoids through her breast milk. And so if you are not replenishing that system, then it's just going to remain depleted because our body, when it creates cannabinoids, they are immediately processed out. They're not help. We don't hold on to them. It's a function that our body just does not do. And so
Mhm.
when we supplement, we take CBD, it goes to the receptor that's depleted. And so if you are struggling with pain in your left shoulder and I'm struggling with a funky right ankle, maybe I woke up and my right ankle was stiff. We could both take the same CBD supplement and our bodies are so brilliant. It's going to travel to where it's needed for that receptor. This is why people take CBD for mental health concerns and for physical health concerns. This is why it supports any type of chronic pain, but also supports like chronic rumination too in the brain
Mhm.
because the receptors that are depleted in your body are different from the receptors that are depleted in mine. And so when we supplement, it goes to where it's needed in our own unique and individual bodies. I feel like
Amazing.
I know, isn't it? That's like, I love it.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Wow.
Um,
So, can I ask you a question that popped into my mind while you were speaking?
oh, please do.
So you were talking about taking the CBD. What about topical CBD? Is
Hmm.
that similar? Is it, are you doing it, are you putting it on that sore shoulder? Are you putting it like on your abdomen, hoping it will help your whole gut and, or your brain, or I don't know, like how is that recommended and how is the efficacy compared to taking it orally? Or is it one way for mental stuff, one way for physical, emotional type stuff. I don't know.
I had to wet my whistle first. That is a beautiful question. So our skin is our largest organ, right? And
Yeah.
so when we put anything on topically, it's going to get into our circulatory system. It's going to get into our body and travel to where it's needed. But specifically for like knee pain is a part with this autoimmunity journey of mine. Sjogren's and Hashimoto's were two of the diagnoses that I put into remission. And joint pain is the stickiest symptom that I have left. I just all of January was pain free for me, and it was
Yeah.
fantastic. But my knees have been the past 2 weeks have been a little sticky again, so I've been rubbing the topical cream on my knees, and it pulls the pain right out. And so,
Wow.
how does that work? I know because my skin is my largest organ, it's going to go to where it's needed in my body. Period. What was the second question you asked? Because that was the next thing I was in. You
Just
said,
like understanding the efficacy of, is it, do you want like topical more for
okay.
physical pain?
And so there are also, I've heard from various people, and now this is something that I have not personally tried or experienced, but a lot of moms have found that rubbing CBD oil on their children's feet, scalp, and dropping in the belly button are fantastic ways to get it into the body. If orally ingesting is something, kiddos, they're like, I don't want it.
Sure.
And so that is those three places on the feet, right on the crown, and then in the belly button are three locations that I've heard people using for topical relief, not necessarily for that targeted point like I use for
Got it.
my knees, but
Sure.
it does go into the body just as well from those three locations because we have so many different nerve endings in those spaces as well.
Yeah.
So that was a
Okay.
really good question.
Well, while you're bringing up kids, can you talk about the safety profile for children and how young is too young, or is there a too young?
Yeah, so there's a lot of pediatric MPs that are on my team that have
Oh,
spent a ton of time diving into this component. And so
yeah.
I am not as well versed as they are. However, I do take notes every time they talk. Um, they recommend waiting until 18 months
Okay.
to start a routine, not for any particular reason other than just a safety component. Now,
Good.
there's plenty of breastfeeding moms that are on a CBD routine, and so the babies are naturally going to be receiving cannabinoids through breast milk in that way, but we already established that babies are already receiving cannabinoids through breast milk. Um, but speaking of kiddos and for kiddos, there are countless children who are finding a lot of relief, both from, and I'm going to bring up chiropractic care because it just popped into my head. But because chiropractic care works with that nervous system regulation
Mhm.
with kiddos, the best analogy that I have that's an appointment that you go to on a weekly, biweekly, or monthly basis to help bring your child's nervous system back into alignment. And what CBD does is essentially a daily realignment for their system. There's plenty of moms that I've been able to support whose kids have different neurodivergencies or sensory concerns like hypersensitivities in various ways. And they're finding a lot of support from adding in cannabinoids into their bodies because it's bringing them back into balance, whereas they're not. As for the safety component, our I totally missed something that I want to share. So I'm going to share it now. So so our company was created by a postpartum mom. She was in the thick of postpartum and she's a crunchy mom, so she wanted a holistic supplement. She found CBD, it helped her. Fast forward a little bit of time, her kiddos began having some emotional responses and they were struggling. And she wanted to help them with CBD, but this time she couldn't find anything that had a label clean enough to give to them. Have you ever felt that way?
Yes, all the time.
Um, so she called her husband and she said, "We have to start a CBD company." And he was like, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "Well, they need CBD, but there's not a clean enough, there's not any clean CBD on the market. I can't give them what I took. I can't give them what I found. We have to make it." And so I think because the entire company was designed with a child's safety in mind, that speaks to who naturally comes to Green Compass
Yeah.
and works with us. Because I'm going to bring up this QR code. So on the bottom of every product, there is a QR code that you can scan, and that takes you to a certificate, to a CTA certificate lab analysis that is third party lab tested. And that speaks to the cleanliness. You scan this, you can actually see where the plant was planted at in Chadbourne, North Carolina. I'm a plant girl. I love anything that has to do with earth and plants. And so that is a
Yeah.
marigold. And my dog's name is Marigold. Um, come here, please. But so that is a fun fact because you get to see where the plant is located at. But specifically, you get to see what else is in the product that you're taking. And so I know this all stemmed from a question about moms and kiddos and is it safe and what are the recommendations for that. The products were designed for the safety of a child, and that lab analysis that gives you, if you are someone who likes the science and you need to get your eyeballs on, well, how do I know this is safe? It comes with that. Everything that we have, it comes with paperwork, so you can read that and create your own peace of mind. But yes, that was a long-winded way to say absolutely safe for kids.
Beautiful. That's so amazing. And it's local to MC, right? Is that right?
Yep. So our farms are in Chadbourne, which is a super small town right outside of Wilmington. Wilmington is where Green Compass is housed, right on the coast of the state. And our farms are about 30 minutes out from the beach. But yeah, our owners, Meredith and Sterling Cook, they're from Wilmington. And so it's all grassroots.
That's amazing. So exciting. And I bet shipping's pretty quick.
Oh, so crazy fast. Like I could order something today and have it by Friday.
That's amazing.
I know.
Because I know I order sometimes. I'm actually waiting on some stuff right now. Not CBD, something else, but it can be very frustrating when you order and you're like, all right, it's been a week. I mean, we had a holiday in there, so I
Yeah.
do realize that, but man, that's great.
Yep. I know.
Um, okay.
I just was gonna say I feel spoiled.
Yeah, well, that's good because it sounds like such a good, clean product that you can trust. And sometimes you're running out and you need like you're kind of in a pinch, and it's like, well, you don't have to wait a week and a half for it to show up.
Right.
So that's a beautiful thing.
Yep, it is. It is a very strong component. And I got to meet a couple months ago, we there was an incentive trip in Punta Cana, and I was able to meet the woman who is in charge of all distribution. And she had a thick accent just like me. I know I sound like cornbread when I talk, and it's okay. But so I meet this lady, she sounds like cornbread too. And so immediately I was like, "Oh, we're friends." And she shares with me that her kids went to the same college that I went to, and we're just talking, and I have no idea who she is. She tells me her name, still am clueless. I get home from Punta Cana and we have a corporate call, and they introduce Kelly, who is in charge of distribution. And I was like, that's my new friend. Um, and so I tell that story because when I say we have a grassroots story, Green Compass has a grassroots story, we have a grassroots corporate team too. And just whole humans, which is a new experience for me. I think when people consider big businesses, they forget that it all started with a vision and a mission and a human with just this dream. And so meeting the humans that are within the establishment, helping everything get out and get into our hands so then we can advocate for it. It's just such a beautiful component of it. And Kelly was just such a cool girl. And then when I realized that she was in charge of this speedy fast shipping, I was like, oh my gosh, I probably would have acted like I had some sense when we were talking. Oh, but that was a tangent.
A great tangent. I think that's beautiful. And it's nice that they're relatable and grassroots and all of that. Because that's what you want, right? And you want to support a company that is supporting good people.
Right.
So I feel like you geeked out a little bit for me, and I appreciate it.
Mhm.
And I learned a lot there. So, is there anything else that you want to tell me about why it is that CBD seems to help with everything? Because it does. It seems like whatever is wrong with you, people are like, oh, you should try CBD for that. It's very interesting. And yet, I know so many people who have used it for various things and gotten relief.
Mhm.
So, it doesn't seem like it's, all this hype. It's like legit.
No, it works.
So,
It works.
yeah.
And I mean, there's one thing that I want to touch on, and this can kind of lean into that. Does it help with everything? Absolutely. Because of that endocannabinoid system, it will. Because our bodies were designed to receive it in that way. So our bodies were designed to work with it for it to help. But there's plenty of people that I've talked with who have said, "Oh, CBD is not for me. I tried it and it didn't work." And I've spoken with countless people in that category, and to them, I'm usually curious of where did they get their CBD from. Um,
Mhm.
what was the sourcing? Was it from Amazon? Fun fact, Amazon legally cannot sell CBD, but guess what? They still do. And
Really?
yes, yes.
Wow. Why?
Why? Because of, I think because they are unable to claim like what is actually in the bottle, which goes
Wow.
into a lot of white labeling and misinformation just in the
Mm.
industry. And so the CBD market is completely unregulated. When the Farm Bill passed in 2018, it just opened it up to the wild, wild west that is an unregulated market in the United States. People get money hungry when they see dollar signs and the potential for a booming industry. CBD is that. There are billions of dollars projected to be made just within the next few years, like 25 billion, I think, by 2024. The numbers are insane. And so
Wow.
get somebody with an entrepreneurial mind and they hear that quality, transparency, all of that, it goes out the window because they know I could get a bottle and I could go into my bathroom and put some toilet water in there, maybe drop a little bit of olive oil so you think it's oil. And then I could get on Canva and print a label, Kasey CBD, and put it on my bottle. I could give it to you,
Oh.
and the entire process would be totally legal.
Uh,
Gross, right? And so,
gross.
so gross. And so for people who tell me that they've tried it and it hasn't worked, where did they get it from? And there's a couple different components that go into it. A, it could have just not been CBD at all. It could have just been totally mislabeled. B, it could be CBD, but let's talk about the quality of it. And so when harvesting the plant to save to make a little bit more bang for your buck, some farms will harvest from seed to stem and will try to extract oil from all parts of the plant instead of just from the bud. And so that's a component as well. And then the last one is, and this one is also nasty, so please prepare. Hemp is known as a trash crop. So it actually cleans the air. Isn't that neat? So neat.
Didn't
What
know.
What's nasty about this is China knows this. China knows that hemp is a trash crop and that it cleans pollutants out of the air. And so, guess what is planted all over China?
Oh,
And guess what they do with it?
tell us.
75% of the hemp that is sold in the United States came from China.
Uh, so when you say it like cleans the pollutants in the air, it's absorbing them. Uh,
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. And
oh,
they
that's gross.
75% of what Americans are consuming, calling CBD, is that is China's pollutant.
Oh,
Um, so this is why when I talk about the QR code and how a mom wanted to make sure that it was safe enough for her kids, she knew all this. And she said, no, 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 I am not giving that to my kid.
yeah,
And and that is why knowing where your product comes from is key. Now, we do have a USDA organic label, and that sets us apart. That sets us apart from other farms who are in the States and they are doing it right. And so I don't want to discount them at all. But that
sure.
USDA organic label, anybody who knows people in this crunchy space, they know that that's expensive and it's time consuming to catch that label,
Sure is.
right?
Yeah.
And so, how were we, if the Farm Bill was passed in 2018 and we opened in 2019, how were we able to flip so quickly and get that label? And it's because Meredith and Sterling, this mom and dad, they linked arms with six generation sweet potato farmers. And these six generation sweet potato farmers in Chadburn, they had a USDA organic sweet potato farm. And they
Mhm.
caught wind of CBD becoming legal. They heard the industry projections and they were like, well, what will happen if we flip the sweet potato farm into a hemp farm? So that's what they did.
Yeah.
And so that helped us get ahead of the market in that way. And it helped us be one of the very first companies in the United States with the USDA organic label. And I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here, but that goes down to the irrigation system. That takes into account the farms that are next door. It's a lengthy process, and it's all really cool to know about.
That's amazing. Jeez. I'm still thinking about the China thing.
I'm so sorry.
Oh gosh. And I read something about the same similar thing about garlic. And so now I'm always like, where's this garlic coming from?
Where's that garlic coming from?
China. Okay, wow.
Mhm.
Well, that's awesome that they were able to jump in so quickly.
Yeah,
Sweet
absolutely.
potato farm. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Huh. Okay. Um, trying to think what else do we need to cover?
I feel like I have been talking a mile a minute. But
You've said a lot of stuff.
I feel like I talked about a lot.
You did. You talked about a lot. I wanted to make sure that everyone had a really good understanding of Green Compass as a company, and I feel like you just nailed that. Because you're right, there are so many different products, so many different companies out there doing things, and we are big believers in organic. And we acknowledge it's not always perfect, especially with a lot of your produce and stuff. It's coming in from international, and it's like they're sticking a sticker on it. So this is different. So this is locally produced, locally sourced, and they bottle it all here.
Yep.
Is that
Yep.
right?
Their
Okay, so we're
lab.
not shipping it to China to put it in a bottle and then shipping it back. I mean, that you'd be surprised.
Oh, I
That
know.
is a thing a
I know.
lot of companies do. It's crazy.
No, our labs are actually on the campus of UNCW. So if you're familiar
That's
with,
so cool.
with Wilmington, University of Wilmington,
Yeah,
that's where the lab is at. Um,
amazing. Okay, cool. So wonderful local company, source and everything, locally producing, bottling. What about testing? Do they do any testing to certify their products?
so it is a third party lab test, and I don't know where that is. Let me see. I'm going to scan this code and see if it tells me.
I'm just curious. I always assume because, I mean, if they are organic, certified organic, then we know that there's criteria that they have to establish to meet there. And of course, they're being checked to make sure that they're, following all of those rules.
It looks like it is SC Laboratories in Denver.
Okay. So they probably send samples out
Hmm.
after they, harvest and all of that. They probably send a sample out to be checked to make sure it's all good. So what happens, not that it's ever happened, but if something for some reason comes back and it doesn't meet the standard, what would happen?
I guess it doesn't
Or
get.
does that not happen?
I guess it doesn't get sold. I haven't heard of that happening.
Right? Yeah, I'm sure that's what happens.
Mhm.
Although it probably hasn't happened.
Probably hasn't, because it's a crunchy mom that built the whole business. So
That's so amazing. So do you have an idea of how big this company is these days?
I don't.
Okay.
Uh, I do
It,
not.
it seems like it's gained a lot of popularity, and if it's not at the top, it's got to be close because I hear so much buzz about Green Compass.
We own 12% of the CBD market in the United States.
Okay, that's a tremendous amount.
And to put that to scale, New Balance owns 3% of their market. So
Wow.
um, we, a girlfriend of mine, she introduced, oh my gosh, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. Um, that wild marigold girl. But a girlfriend of mine introduced me to somebody. She said, "This is my friend. She works in the CBD industry." And she said, "If you want the Louis Vuitton of CBD, you need to call her." And I just laughed. But then I was like, I fully received that. Thank you. Because we are the best. And it's cool. Just me, Kasey, the human, the person. I still pinch myself that I get to put my name next to this company, because it is the best in the industry with cleanliness, but also with profit as well. And so, any company that is owning 12% of their market, that's wild. And so while I don't have a number to express, how big the company is, I think that number does speak a lot
Well, I was
for
going
it.
to say 12, that is a number, 12% of the market is a huge number, especially when you start thinking about how relatively new they are. That doesn't happen by accident typically.
Right.
So
Yeah, we are the leading brand in the country.
that's amazing. And we didn't really talk about any of this beforehand, but I'm just, since we're having this conversation and I know that your model involves doing a lot of teaching and educating and all of that sort of stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you do or how you do it or because you seem to be doing really well with this business. I know you're very passionate about it. I love that you're so authentically you and you come out on social media and you're silly and you're funny and you're just having the best time. And you're doing it and making a living. And so I think that's such a beautiful thing. And I know there are some people who don't love the model. I think it's a brilliant model. And, like anything else, there's going to be people who don't do it well and who don't do it ethically. And there's a lot of people who do it very well. And so whenever I see someone who is just so authentic and so full of life and energy and just a passion for what they're doing, I really feel like let's listen to what you're doing. How are you doing this? Because it seems to be working for you. And you seem to always be having fun. So
Thank you. If I can't have fun when I'm doing something, I am not going to do it. And that is just who I am as a person. Like, I don't stay in conversations where we aren't laughing. And I don't stay around people that just have sticks up their butts and take everything too serious. That's just not who I am. I don't I don't feel like we were born to live all miserable and stuff. Um, so
agreed.
that's me. But to speak to the network marketing component, I mentioned I was a customer for a really long time. And the reason I was a customer for so long is because my ego simply could not with the network marketing component. I was like, oh, no, ma'am, no, sir. You won't catch me sending hey girl messages and being that person. pushing sales on people because, that's what I had experienced. That's what network marketing was for me. It was people pushing sales on me and people I hadn't talked to in years messaging me. And so I was like, well, if that's what it takes to be successful, I'll find something else. So 3 years in as a customer and 7 advocates later, because I saw so many different people starting, and every single one of them would be like, Kasey, you would kill it here. And every single one of them, I would say, oh, I love watching you. I'm good. And so it got to a point where I was financially uncomfortable enough last January that I had to pull my head out of my butt. And I realized, I'm telling people about these products. They have changed my whole entire life. What am I doing? What am I doing?
Yeah.
Um, so I joined the business and I have no network marketing experience. I wasn't a top leader at another company, but I jumped in with both feet. I believed in the products, I believed in the company, and I share from that belief. I share from my passion. And with a foundation of, hey, we're going to have fun while we do this. Anytime I get a new teammate, and I have grown really fast, which, I thank you, God, it's not me. This has all been divine alignment, and I believe in that. Um, but whenever I get a new teammate, I tell them we don't convince anybody. We don't try to push anybody to anything. I'm heavy on attraction marketing, but also every conversation I have about Green Compass, my intention is that when I walk away, you are educated and you are empowered. And I trust that you will make an educated and empowered consumer decision, period. I think that comes from just my education background. I want to teach people. People don't know about their endocannabinoid system. And when people learn that they have a puzzle piece inside their body that fits with a plant, like, people love that.
Yeah.
And there's a natural remedy, so you don't have to get on 7 different medications. I think this has just been like a perfect storm for me with my journey in autoimmunity, with coming off of so many medications, and with a teacher background. They all just came together really beautifully to prepare me for this space. And it's helped me grow in a way that feels right. And I've recruited people who come from different companies, and they send me their messages and reach outs, and I'm like, oh, okay, let me coach you through this. And I just remind everybody, you are a human. Have a human conversation. If this person was sitting across from you at a coffee shop and they told you about their ailments, would you jump right into, let me sell you a product? Or would you be like, oh my gosh, that
Right.
sounds like you've been struggling so much. What's been helping you? And then let the conversation flow from there. You have a gift to offer to this person that you're speaking with, but let them tell you about themselves first. And
Mhm.
so just my reminder to anyone getting started in network marketing is make sure you're aligned with the company first.
Yes.
Make sure
Huge.
make sure you're aligned with the product too. And
Mhm.
then make sure you know how to talk to people. Just connect with the human in front of you. And as long as when you walk away, they feel stronger than they were when they got there, you did your job. I always trust that I am placed in the rooms with the people that have been praying for the gifts that only I have to share. I trust that. And so far, it's true.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, I will say when I look at you, I just feel like the way you light up, you are in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing. So
Thank you.
thank you for sharing your gift with us and all of this great information. And can you tell people where they can find you? How can they follow you? How can they learn more? All of that good stuff.
Oh my gosh, please connect with me on Instagram. My name on Instagram is Kasey, Kasey __ T. It's where I do everything. I will teach you about your body. We'll dive into mindset too, because that's just another thing about me. And I'll be able to chat with you about what CBD routine would support you specifically the most. I'm an open book, and I just really love connecting with people. So please find me, say hello, let me know you heard me here so I can screenshot
Yeah.
it to Diana and be like, look.
I love it. And she will make you laugh
Yes, we're gonna laugh because I
because
don't stay in conversations with people we can't laugh in.
yes, yes, there's a lot of laughter on your Instagram, a lot of education and a lot of laughter,
Yes.
which is a beautiful mix.
Mhm.
Thank you for your time today. It was
Thank
beautiful. I enjoyed it. I appreciate you. You're amazing. And I hope people will go check you out and learn more from you and continue to follow your journey. I can't wait to see where you're going, my friend.
Oh, thank you. I love you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right. Bye, y'all.